You may have heard of the famous Hermetic aphorism, which states, as above, so below. And it means that the macrocosmos or macrocosm corresponds in key respects to the microcosm. That there is a certain kind of parallel or set of parallels between the cosmos, this well ordered organism, and the human organism. Today, we want to explore something even more ambitious, namely, whether what is on high, as it were, is actually identical with what is on low. Whether, that is to say, the ultimate is none other than the one speaking and the ones listening right now. If that were so, then what is above is also what is below. And what is below is also what is above. This might seem like an unpromising proposal, considering the modern disenchantment of the world. You might feel often, and indeed right now, as if you are very small and isolated, and as if the universe is vast, cold, and distant. How could whatever it is that gives rise to the universe, therefore, be at one with this seemingly insignificant creature? How could the finite be infinite? How could the temporally bound be timeless? We need to let go of this modern disenchanted picture of ourselves vis-a-vis reality in order to explore with fresh eyes and with open hearts this fundamental question. Therefore, set this all too modern picture off to the side and start off with the sweet innocence of a child. Accept that whatever is ultimate must be total, must be totality. Therefore, totality can leave nothing out by definition. Therefore, totality cannot leave out consciousness. since that would imply, to be sure, that it is not total or all. Therefore, the ultimate must be conscious. When we speak of consciousness, we are speaking then of the subject, not of an object. And we have a name for the one who is the subject of consciousness. And that name, that divine name, is I. Therefore, accept that the divine name of the ultimate, which is total, is none other than I. For the moment, then, set the divine name, that is I, off to the side and come down below. What is it that you know for certain? The first thing that you know for certain is that you have phenomenal experiences. You experience the taste of wine or cherries by virtue of tasting them. You see rain clouds or rainbows. You touch velvet or silk. You smell spring flowers. You see beautiful pages consisting of sacred art. You cannot deny that you have these phenomenal experiences, these qualia. They are evident to you in a way that nothing else, or almost nothing else, is. Moreover, you cannot deny that you have desires, thoughts, feelings, and the like. We're not inquiring into where these experiences came from or whether they're veridical, that is, whether they're somehow true. We don't need to. There's the fact that the experience has itself arisen that is sufficient for our purposes today. Therefore, again, you know beyond a doubt that you have experiences. So you can say, I am the one with this experience. And there's something further that you know, something that we shall come to over the course of this meditation. You know that you are. In this case, you don't confirm your beingness or existence or conscious presence by appealing to an experience. On the contrary, you need no such experience to know immediately and beyond a doubt that you are. In the first person, this means I know I am. Or more simply, I am. Now, how do we move from the first certainty to the second one? Begin with any experience, like the movement of the breath. Just notice the way that the breath moves. And now, of course, notice that you are the one noticing the moving breath. The I that has this experience is therefore the I that is aware of this experience, namely the movement of the breath. See what subtle difference it makes to shift the angle of your attention from the breath to the one I who is aware of the breath. We should next investigate whether the I that is aware of the breath is in any way dependent on the breath for its continued existence. So consider whether the I that's now aware of the breath, note this I right now, is the same as or different from the I that is aware of the sound of this voice. Allow your attention to move back and forth between the breath and the sound of this voice. And then shift backward in order to investigate whether these are two different I's or whether they are one and the same I. Do so as you investigate the breath or pay attention to the breath, and as you bring your attention to the sound of this voice. Through the breath, and to the sound of this voice. Through the breath, and to the sound of this voice. Let it be clear that it is one and the same witnessing I. And this can be tested once more by paying attention neither to the breath nor to the sound of this voice, but to neither. check all three to the breath, to the sound of this voice, and to neither. Therefore, we know three things. First, that there are experiences. Second, that those experiences come and go, the breath coming and going, the sound of the voice coming and going, and so forth. And that the I is not ontologically dependent on these two experiences, or we can infer on any experiences whatsoever. And this, with the sweetness of a child, leads us to wonder not about the quality of the experiences, but about the nature of the I. What is it really like? What am I really like? How come I don't seem to change, despite the fact that experiences continue to move and move and move? Try the following. Continue to remove any of these predicates. Remove young from the statement, I am young, and see what remains. Or remove old from the statement, I am old, and discover what remains. Remove male from I am male, as well as female from I am female. And again, open to what remains. Remove I am the agent, as well as I'm not the agent. And discover what remains. Take away I am the knower, and I am the one who knows nothing. And open deeply to what's right here. Remove all personality traits, like I am conscientious, or I am neurotic, and so on, and see what remains. Next, remove I am the one seeing behind seeing, I am the hearer behind hearing. I am the taster beyond tasting. I am the smeller behind smelling. I am the toucher beyond touch. And discover what remains. Take away, I am the desirer behind desire. I am the choice maker behind choice. I am the thinker behind thought. I am the feeler behind feeling. And open deeply to what remains. In short, let go of all identification with experiences, all experiences, and see what remains. It's like being profoundly and beautifully frozen in a state of concentration and wonderment. And this state, without qualities, without identifications with experiences, is none other than I amness. This is I am. What is the relationship between I am and the divine nature, the pure, boundless I? Or it can still feel as if I am in such a way that I am limited, whereas presumably it is the case that the divine nature, pure consciousness, or pure I, is unlimited. Therefore, even if the divide between I am and I am that I am has been closed by virtue of our inquiry so far, it can seem as if there must still be a gap. Is there a gap? Well, if I am apparently limited, I must be limited by something or other. What could that be? I could be limited by a body. So ask yourself the question right now. In my immediate understanding and without any appeals to memories or thoughts or concepts, do I discover a body? Do I discover a something? Thoughts may flicker, but remember, without grasping onto thoughts or even feelings, or indeed subset of thoughts called memories, do I find myself contained within a something ordinarily called body? If I find that there are sensations, then it could be clear to me that I am that which is aware of the sensations. Do I feel bound right now by flickering sensations? May I be deeply open to the profound, yet also simple possibility that I am not limited by a particular body, not contained by a specific something. Wonderment, I may ask. What is my nature if it's not bound by a body? Alternatively, the divide between I am and the pure I may be discovered in the presumptive, quote, fact that I am limited by space, while the pure I is not. Right now, then, I may ask, in my direct experience, can I discover any borders or boundaries, any physical limitations or demarcations? If I don't go off some reference to the body as a point in space, if I let go of that model, which is just an inherited concept, then what do I find? Do I find any borders, boundaries, ups or downs, lefts or rights? Can I get any traction at all on the notion of space when all concepts have been removed? In fact, can I even move anywhere if there are no discernible borders or boundaries in my direct experience? Even to, quote, look for an up or to look for a boundary implies concepts, that is, thoughts. So without any thoughts, how could there be any boundaries? Without any appeal to a concept, to a point of reference, how can there be a center and a circumference? It's as if I were suspended in wonderment. The teaching says, "Thou art He." Could that be true? A doubt may arise, but perhaps I am bound by time while the pure I is not. Yet, if there is no sense of space in my experience, how can there be time? If I'm not something that is positioned and that therefore is capable of moving, what is going to measure non-movement? what can even be measured? For whom even is there a now and a then? What do such vestiges, such words, even mean? So that if I take away any sense of being conscious and any sense of being present, then what is it that remains? Or who is it that I truly am? I find the divide between being conscious and consciousness itself. Can I find a divide between being present and existence itself? Might there be no separation after all between I am and I am that I am? Could it be that I am naturally returns to I? When I am is totally without attributes, entirely without any qualities, without any modifications, without anything. Could it be that I am I? At once singular and universal? Could it be that I seem to take on the appearance of multiplicity, the appearance of being, quote, so many different eyes, when in reality, and all along, I have only ever been my singular, universal self, have only ever been totality. Could it be that without any qualities, without any attributes, without anything that can be said, I abide as myself, and as myself alone and total? Therefore, it is not quite intimate enough to say that thou art, or that you are he. Far more appropriate to say, I am I. Perhaps the one and only I appears to be experiencing a multiplicity of experiences and seems to identify variously with the content of experiences such that I seem to be 7 billion people. But what if I'm not identical with the myriads upon myriads of experiences? Then it can seem as if there could be 7 billion witnesses experiencing 7 billion times experiences. But do I ever find so many witnesses? As I make my way back, I know what I also rediscover, and that is I am. And it can seem, perhaps, as if there are 7 billion I ams. But all this seeming is coming from the vantage point some way down below the finite mind that conceptualizes everything in terms of multiplicity and diversity, in terms of the many. And therefore, as I ease off the standpoint of the finite mind, and as I begin to explore the nature of I amness, and as I begin to probe into the possibility of limitations or localizations, I open myself up to the possibility that the one exploring has always been the single universal I. It's as if I open myself up to the possibility that every single apparent difference can be funneled back into a single totality. Or when I remove time and time and time again any sense of limitation, what do I actually find? I find expansion, non-limitation. But expansion only makes sense relative to contraction. Therefore, how could I possibly continue to expand when there's no sense of contraction? Into what can I expand? Out of what am I expanding? When I no longer expand or contract, then what am I? I am I. Not I am presently conscious, but instead I am consciousness and pure presence. Being pure consciousness and pure presence, I am pure repose or bliss or peace. Oh, I love.